All right, so in this section, we're going to look at multiplication with polynomials. Okay, and we're going to multiply a polynomial by a monomial and multiply two polynomials and then use the FOIL method to multiply two binomials. All right, so when we come across the multiplication, right, and so we can see multiplication a few different ways, but this is going to be your distributive property. So this negative 4x, it needs to distribute into all of these terms. All right, so there's a couple of different ways you can do this. The first way is to just distribute, right? And so I'm trying to thicken this up a little bit. So you can just say x squared times negative 4x minus 3x times negative 4x plus 12 times negative 4x. All right, and so we've gone over our power rules, right? So x squared times negative 4x is just going to be negative 4 cubed, or negative 4x cubed. And then negative times a negative is going to be plus 12x squared, and then minus 48x. All right, so just flat out doing our distributive property, right? Or on our next example, right, we can do what we call um, a box method. So we can actually, I'm going to distribute this one again also. Box method is when you have binomial to a binomial. So again, we're going to get x squared times 3x squared plus 12x times 3x squared minus 5 times 3x squared. So 1 times 3 is 3. X squared times x squared. I'll just keep my base, add my exponents, plus 12x times, or 12 times 3 is going to give us 36. X times x squared is going to be x to the third. And then negative 5 times 3 is negative 15 x squared. And again, you notice our degrees are in descending order from biggest to smallest. All right, so now here we go. So first we're going to talk about the FOIL method, okay? And the FOIL method, it just means first multiply your first terms, multiply your outside terms, multiply your inside terms, and then multiply your last terms, right? And so FOIL, right, if you just look at the first letter in each one of those directions, that's how you get the FOIL, right? So if you look at your first terms, you get 2x times 5x, which will give you 10x squared. Then if you look at your two outside terms, you get the 2x times 3. So 2x times positive 3 is going to give us 6x. Then you look at your inside terms, which is negative 4 and 5x. So negative 4 times 5x will give us negative 20x. And then finally, you get your last terms, which is negative 4 and positive 3. So negative 4 times positive 3 is going to give us negative 12. So typically, your O and your I terms will need to be combined for the most part. Okay, and then we're going to just put it in descending order. So 10x squared, positive 6x minus 20x, they are opposite signs. So I'm going to do subtraction. 26 minus 20 minus 6 is going to give us 14. 20 is the biggest term, so I'm going to keep the sign, and then minus 12, right? So we will be done. Now, the box method I was talking about is you literally will draw yourself a box. Okay, and I'm going to just put 2x minus 4, or I could have put 5x plus 3. It doesn't matter. 5x plus 3. And then you're just going to multiply the outside, the two where these two terms come together. So 5x times 2x is 10x squared. 5x times negative 4 is negative 20x. 2x times 3 is 6x. And positive 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Right? And again, I would just put this in descending order, making sure I combine my like terms. And we will be done. So just two different ways in which you can think of FOIL. Okay, so same thing. We'll FOIL this. So first, 15x squared, then outside plus 12x, then inside plus 40x, and then last plus 32. Combine my likes, 15x squared plus 52x plus 32. And so this is just another way of multiplying in which they set this up. So it's more if you're doing like the old long way of multiplying, but this is when I would definitely put this in a box, right? So I would definitely draw out, oh, I didn't mean to skip that. So I would say, okay, I'm gonna put the trinomial up top and put the binomial on the side. So 7y squared minus 3y plus 2, 2y plus 3. And now I'm going to just multiply those outside numbers. So 14y cubed, 21y squared, and then 2y times negative 3y is negative 6y squared. 3y times negative 3y, negative 9y. 2y times 2 is 4y. 3 times 2 is 6. And now I'm going to just rewrite this in descending order. 14y cubed. I can go ahead and combine my y squareds, right? So I got 21 and negative 6. They're opposite of one another. So I'm going to subtract, get the 15, take the sign of the bigger term, y squared. I'm going to do the same thing with my y terms, negative 9 and positive 4. Subtract the smallest from the biggest. That's going to give me 5. Take the sign of the biggest number, right? And then plus 6, and we are done. All right, now it looks like we have a couple more. Sorry, I just wanted to see how many were left. Okay, so for this one, got a couple of things going on. Like you can FOIL the two binomials first if you would like, or you can distribute the 2y into the first binomial or even the second binomial. It's all multiplication, so it's going to all turn out the same. So me personally, I'm going to just go ahead and just distribute it into the first binomial. So 2x times x is going to give me 2x squared. And 2x times negative 3 is going to give me negative 6x. And now we can multiply that to our 2x plus 1. And if we go ahead and FOIL that, 2x squared times 2x is going to give us 4x cubed. And then 2x squared times 1 is going to be plus 2x squared. Then get my inside terms, negative 6x times 2x, negative 12x squared. And then negative 6x times 1, negative 6x. Combine our likes, 4x cubed. Again, these are opposite signs, so I'm going to subtract them. 12 minus 2 is 10. 12 is the biggest term, so I'm going to keep that sign. And then minus 6x. And again, we are done. All right, and then looking at this last question, says use the FOIL method, right? We've been doing the FOIL and the box, right? So at this point, this is where, like, even when you're looking at a type of question that it specifically asks you to do it a certain way. If you're familiar with doing it one way, I always say stick with whatever method you know best. Like don't like if you're unfamiliar with the FOIL, but you used to doing the box or you're used to doing that long multiplication way, just do it whichever way makes the most sense for you. Okay, don't let somebody tell you what way is better than the other. It's all about how are you learning it, right? So if I was doing this the old school multiplication way, I'm gonna just say 2 times x, 2x times x is gonna give me 2x squared, and then 8 times x is gonna give me plus 8x, and then 3 times 2x is plus 6x, and then 3 times 8 is plus 24, right? So it's just a matter of, do I like this way? Am I more of a FOIL person? Or does the box make sense, right? It's just whatever way makes the most sense to you when you are multiplying these polynomials. Okay, well, at any rate, we still need to simplify this. So 2x squared plus 14x plus 24. And now we are done. Okay, but like always, if you still have any type of questions or you're getting confused or stuck, do not hesitate to reach out. Talk to you shortly.